Abbi J, and I'm not in my normal studio, and it's not a normal world out there, and so these aren't my normal videos, but guess what? I am doing a 5-day challenge for anybody that is going through a crisis, and right now, as a nation, as a country, as a world, we are going through COVID-19, which is super scary, but I want to give you 5 tips, one every single day, so that we can go more in depth on what to do during a crisis, because it can be unnerving, and all of a sudden you either have a lot of time on your hands or a lot of worries on your hands. So let's talk about what to do during a crisis. So like I mentioned, this is different than giving you just a whole bunch of tips all at once. We're gonna go in depth, in focus, because now is the time to really hone in on our personal development. Now is the time to get a hold of our senses and our fear and get a hold of our hearts and our minds. So what is the thing that you should be doing today? Today, I want you to start a practice of journaling. Yes, journaling. And that's the first thing that you should do in a crisis. Now, why is that? Why should you be journaling, and why is that my advice for you today? Well, journaling, and I've got mine here. This is my current journal, super simple, just a notebook, right? But journaling is like the cheapest form of therapy out there, right? Like this literally cost me maybe $5. You can use a piece of paper. You can go buy a really nice journal, but people overlook journaling as a way to get out their thoughts and to just process what is going on around them. So this week, while you are in quarantine with the rest of us, while you are going through this crisis, get out your journal and write what is happening. So some basics to cover. First of all, always put the date, because it's so relevant when you look back. You want to know what is going on. So put the date. Make sure that you put what is going on, the challenge that you are facing, and then I just want you to emotionally, I call it emotionally vomiting, it's a gross word, but like just emotionally vomit on those pages and journal as much as you possibly can and write down everything. This is so uncensored. This can be your honest, true opinion of what is going on right now. Do you think people are overreacting? Are you freaked out? Are you wishing that you'd bought more toilet paper? Just write it all down, because one of the points of journaling, there's a lot of why it's so valuable, but one of the most valuable things during a crisis is just having somewhere to put your thoughts, to put your fears, to put your concerns, or to put what's actually happening to you. So it's out of your head, out of your heart, out of your mind, and onto something tangible, something that can hold it and retain those thoughts for you. So that is one reason why you should be journaling this week. Another benefit to journaling during a crisis is the fact that it gives you so much clarity of mind. When we are in a crisis and our mind is spinning, especially about future problems, and I'm here to tell you that every future problem is not worth your time worrying and thinking about, because they're fake problems, right? We don't know if they're really gonna happen. They might, but our mind, there's nothing that we can solve about it. We can just think about one possibility for hours and hours, and then we just think about what if the opposite happens for hours and hours, and nothing productive happened in that time because we can't solve future problems. But when we journal, we can throw down all of our worries and concerns and actually focus on problems that are facing us right now, on the fear that we're feeling right now, and get it on paper. And even just that might help you feel better. But then if that doesn't, you can go back and say, okay, I am really worried about my finances right now. Let me, watch some videos on that. Let me think through that a little bit more. Let me talk to a friend. Like, maybe I could figure that out now that I've journaled and I see that that's like my number one concern right now with like the COVID-19 that's going on right now. So it gives you so much clarity when it comes to putting down your thoughts, because if we don't put down our thoughts somewhere, our head is just gonna spin and we have to remember all those worries that were going on. So just put it in one central place. And I'd encourage you to put that in like a bound notebook style of journal so that you can have a record of what is going on right now. And my very last point about journaling and why you need to do it today during your crisis and practice it throughout this week with our 5-day challenge is you are gonna want to look back. I know that sounds really weird. I know you're like, well, why? Because one day stick with me here. One day, this isn't gonna be a problem anymore. One day, like this virus or whatever crisis, whenever you're watching this, maybe COVID's already over, but it's gonna end. There's gonna be a solution, there's gonna be a vaccine, or maybe this summer, and I've heard heat like kills viruses, like who knows? But we're not gonna always be in quarantine. We're not always going to be in a financial or relationship crisis. And so you need to have this experience to look back on and to reflect. This happened to me last night. So I was journaling, because I practice what I preach. I was journaling about COVID, talking about my feelings and what was going on with my family, and just like getting my thoughts out. And as I was flipping through this journal, and this one particularly it starts in 2017, because I'm not like an everyday journaler. So it starts in 2017, and honestly, I had forgotten that 2017 was one of the worst years of my life to date. Like, everything emotionally, internally, externally was going wrong for me. And I'd forgotten that. Can you believe that I'd forgotten some of the most monumental, horrible crises of my life? I'd already glazed them over and was like, oh, it wasn't that bad. So it was amazing to read about how I was struggling with my YouTube channel and I wanted to quit, and how I didn't have a job at the time and I was really struggling and worrying about finances, and how my family wasn't doing well, and how like I emotionally just wasn't well, and I was the heaviest weight I'd ever been in my life. And I just thought, wow, I'd forgotten. And then I flipped over to 2018 and same thing, you know, oh, okay, things were better here, but they weren't better here. And so it actually made me feel so good last night. And last night I just had a heart overwhelming with gratitude for my God and for my faith and for the fact that time goes on and life heals itself. Because honestly, even though right now it's a little bit scary, it just totally turned my perspective from like, oh man, this is so hard, to I was like, no, compared to what I've been through in 2017 to now, this is amazing. And I'm not trying to lessen anybody else's experience with COVID or a crisis. I'm just saying, for me personally, I'd take this 1,000 times over what I was going through in 2017. And so that's the beauty of a journal, is we don't get to forget, because we've written it down. We have it here with us to remind us how strong we are, what we've been through, and how many blessings we have in our life right now. So, as you can tell, I'm a little bit of a freak about my journal because it reminds me to be grateful. It reminds me to live in the present, and it reminds me that today is always so much better than yesterday was. Okay, my friends, so challenge for today, day number 1, is to start journaling. And that can be as simple as writing down the date, what is happening, your feelings on COVID, and calling it good for the day. But check in with yourself, continue to journal through this process and see what happens for you. Leave me a comment. Are you like me, where you look back and you realize, oh, I've been through things way tougher than this? Or have you had the opposite of experience of saying, man, this is the toughest thing I've faced to date? Or, you know what, I didn't realize that I'm really worried about these things, but now that I write it out, I can see that clarity. So leave a comment for me down below. Please like this video, and also know that I'm going to be posting for the next 5 days a video all about how to deal with a crisis. So be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those videos. I will also be posting a completely separate, regular personal development, faith, helping my young women out there crush life video on Thursdays. So can't wait to see you then. Abbi J out.